This is the Criterion Creeps podcast, and tonight we're talking about I, Vitelloni from 1953, directed by Federico Fellini.
What was the name of this film?
I, Vitelloni.
Vitelloni. Good job, Jarrett.
We are the hollow men in this last of meeting places. We grope together and avoid speech, gathered on this beach of the torrid river.
That's pretty, elegant. That description.
We
You know what I
grope
mean?
together.
I mean the other parts. The other parts, Jarrett.
Okay.
Wow, fragrant.
The synopsis.
Uh-huh.
I, Vitelloni.
Vitelloni.
5 young men, dream of success as they drift lazily through life in a small Italian village. Fausto, the group's leader, is a womanizer. Riccardo craves fame. Alberto is a hopeless dreamer. Moraldo fantasizes about life in the city. And Leopoldo, is an aspiring playwright. As Fausto chases a string of women to the horror of his pregnant wife, the other 4 blunder their way from one of uneventful experience to the next. So, RJ,
Yes.
as mentioned in our preamble, this is the last Fellini film for a very long time on the Criterion Creeps podcast.
Nice.
It's going to be close to 10 years or something like that until we see the fart Fellini here on the Creep. And we're turning the clock back here to this 1953 offering that I'm assuming neither of us were familiar with or had seen before.
This is one of my favorite shows for always. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, sorry, I'm speaking out of turn. I didn't
Yeah,
realize
don't assume.
you're a
things.
big fan of the Vit.
I'm a big Vitelloni man.
The title, do you know what it translates to, RJ?
I do, because I watched the follow-up, which was called Vitelloni Ismo, which is a 30-minute doc, and I believe it means young calf.
Well,
Or something.
or like the layabouts.
Oh, so okay, I got a way different. The way they describe it in that, was
Yeah,
that
so
it was
there's
like
like
a veal and a young calf, and it's the men are young calves
yes,
kind of idea.
yeah. Apparently,
You know?
it's like the bollocks, the layabouts. It's
Okay.
like the literal translation of it. But yes, there is the thing about the young calves.
Which, when I heard that, I was like, that makes sense for what this movie is actually about.
Yeah,
so.
so here we go. The actual origin of the term has been defined as a cross between the Italian words for veal, vitello, and beef, bovino, implying, quote, an immature, lazy person without a clear identity or any notion of what to do with his life.
Yeah. Hey, when you're talking about veal beef, it reminded me. Do you remember that hit line from Summertime about beefsteak? Do you remember?
Yeah, I do. That's an Italian man, too.
That is an Italian man.
Oh,
Passionate about their beefsteak.
beefs, yeah. They like their cows.
Yeah. So, that's something that I learned watching a documentary, Jarrett, because I'm a real smart guy.
You're a smart man. Doing that legwork. Watching those supplements on the Criterion channel.
Which apparently only 18 people have even seen.
Yes, or logged. It logged at least.
Logged on Letterboxd.
There might be many people who have watched it and they just aren't on Letterboxd and may not even realize it's a loggable thing because they're not desperate for views.
Well,
What was that? Or is that just silence?
no, I said something, but I think it's better left alone.
So, I made a mistake. I read a synopsis and a couple of reviews of I, Vitelloni, and I read this was a coming of age story.
Yes.
Okay, so
That's what I saw too.
okay, so I'm watching this movie and I get this Stand By Me narrator speaking from like a later point in their life, talking about all the times we had, and they introduce their friends, and to give you just like a little Cliff Notes synopsis of what these people mean or what they are in the group of 5. And I was like, what are we talking about here? These are all like 30-something-year-old, 40-something-year-old men. Like, these guys are not spry young chickens. So I'm like, so when's the flashback coming? Like, when are we going to see what these guys look like? 'Cause I mean, we've just been watching like Italian movies like for fucking forever, it seems like. And there's like actual like young toughs, easy kids and stuff like that. And I mean, they look like, that's a coming of age tale.
Remember Mama Roma?
Exact, Mama Roma. All those like Italian boys running around. That's a coming of age story. These fucking guys. Like, okay, and I looked this up because I was like really getting like really annoyed by this. I was like, how old is the lead actor? How old is Fausto? Okay.
I didn't look, but my guess is 42.
22.
At the time, wait, the character or the actual actor?
The actor of Fausto is 22 years old.
Well,
and
he must have started drinking and smoking at like 10.
Hey, these are like guys who came out the other side of World War II. They had a hard. Okay. They've had a hard life at this point. They had probably a very stressful, like being 14 years old
and being in the war.
Well, I don't know if they were been like conscripted or anything like that into like the army, but they were definitely in that point where like, oh man, I can't wait. I hope it at least at war a little bit longer so I can be a real hero and get some tail. Or maybe they're all like actor kids and they're like, I don't want to go to war. And then it's like, oh shit. I'm in a war zone potentially in a world where like America's coming through with tanks or being in a government run by fascists and who knows, and then you have to like live through the collapse of your country, and so this is what a hard 22 looks like.
That's a hard 22,
like where you look like you're like fucking like you could be a guest spot in an episode of Sopranos.
As someone's uncle who's like, that guy's like 100 years old. How's he an uncle?
A cousin.
I chose uncle because I thought it implied more age because they're old.
No, I don't know. Yeah, these are, so that was really, really distracting throughout the entire movie because I was like, this is just like a bunch of buffoons. Like, these are just goofballs. Like, but they're not even like, there's no like, oh, they're young and they're trying to find their way in the world today. It's taking everything they got. No. Like, so this movie is, as Wikipedia calls it, a most imitated of Fellini's films because you got like every single like one of these styles of stories of like kind of people like outside of high school, young men, young women start getting their life started. So like Mean Streets from Scorsese's reference, American Graffiti is mentioned, Joel Schumacher's St. Elmo's Fire.
Okay. What about Amarcord?
Philip Kaufman's The Wanderers. Barry Levinson's Diner, which it is kind of like. But that was the thing, though, is like, and of course, apparently, what is it? Yeah, there's even things saying Levinson has said he never saw I, Vitelloni before making his own film. It's like, well, yeah, making a coming of age.
Shit.
Like, you don't have to have seen this fucking movie to like make a coming of age story. But like at the same time, these stories of like, because there is some plot beats that are similar. But you know what, RJ? Diner wasn't a movie I was all that crazy about. So I don't know.
That's fine.
So
I think the coming of age thing that's pretty loose, man. Like that's pretty generous description for this movie.
Because this is a movie at the end of the day about these 5 guys, and I don't even feel like this is like the smallest Italian village we've seen.
No, this seemed like a full blown city almost.
It seems like a town.
Yeah,
they've got like amenities,
a nightlife.
Yeah, they've got like people dance because it's a Fellini movie. People are dancing. It's not like it's like there's like a nightlife. Mm-hmm. But so we got Buddy Fausto. He's knocked up a girl, and he finds out. And he's like, better get out of here. Better clear out. There's nothing here for me.
He's like, well, I had a good run in this town. I better start over somewhere new.
Yeah, give her a chance, at a better life.
It's like, I'll only do her bad by staying.
Yeah. Maybe I'll get a good job and, cut her in on the action later on. But it's like, no. Of course, is it his dad that's like, what do you do? He's like, hey, can I have that $1,000, that 1,000 lira, which is like, who knows how little money that actually is in 1953. It's always like, hey, I need 10,000, like in, oh God, the dog movie.
George Washington?
Not that one.
Are you talking about Umberto D?
Yes. Again, a depiction of like shitty Italian life after World War II. This one doesn't even seem that bad. Like Umberto D seems way worse. Like it's all bombed out. This seems fine.
Okay, Jared, I got some intel here for you about the lira. So,
yeah, I know about inflation. Hyperinflation.
You know about inflation?
Oh yeah.
Okay, well, in the year 1953. Okay, in the year 1943, $1 was 120 lira. Let's see if we can get a little bit later. No, that's about the closest I can get. 1949, $1 American was 625 lira.
Well, things cost differently back then too.
That's true, but
I'm sure you could get like a pack of smokes for like a dime or something.
Yeah, so like 10,000 or what was it? 1,000 lira.
Yep.
1,000 lira is like $4.
Well, I mean,
and then
this guy's
you could buy like a week's worth of groceries with $4 maybe.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. Well, I don't know if we've had this conversation before, but I remember like years ago watching Mad Men, and there was like a discussion about like yearly salaries, and it's like, oh, I'm making $3,000 a year, and it's like, wait, this is like 1963, 64 or something like that. It's like that's not a lot of money.
Was then, I guess.
That's what I mean. This is where I like when you start hearing these big numbers tossed around. You're like, well, is 10,000 a lot? It's like, doesn't sound like it, but it's always like, oh, I'm 10,000 lira short. I need 1,000 lira. Okay, can I have 5,000 lira? It's like, I don't know. Sometimes I do like when subtitles kind of like mess around a little bit and they say what it is in US dollars, because who cares?
Yeah, it's like, hey, can I have $4? And you go, $4? What?
Yeah.
Anyways, I just wanted to give you the update.
Okay, well, thank you.
Live feed.
Thank you, Professor of Economics Baylog.
Yeah, that's me. I am Professor.
Rog.
Balog?
No.
Balog? Okay.
So, this movie. Yeah. It's fine. It's okay. It's okay. I mean, again, this is kind of in that early period, I think, for Fellini still. He's a guy, as they say on Letterboxd reviews, finding his voice.
Wow.
Supposedly, this was somewhat autobiographical or biographical of his own life. And I guess like allegedly, it's always allegedly. Uh-huh. There's a little bit of Fausto and Fellini. So I'm like, so he's like a real like puss hound, huh?
Could you repeat that for the and just wait, let me hit record on Skype here. Could you repeat that just for a second?
Puss hound.
Well, it was a good run. I don't think anyone expected us to last 4 years, but maybe this is the way it was meant to end for always, because I'm done. No more.
Am I wrong to describe him this way? Is it inaccurate? This guy's always sniffing up the next skirt.
Well, I mean, as I've said in a few different ways, I would use different words, but what the sentiment is the same. Yes, this man is...
We get to the same place no matter what.
Yeah. He gets around.
No.
Mm-hmm. He's insatiable, like all Italians, is what I've come to learn.
Can you say that again? Can you say that? Speak that.
Hey,
say that into the microphone.
That's not my opinion. That is what the
Oh shit! See,
trademark has taught me, because that's what every single Italian movie in the Criterion Collection, how they depict Italian men.
RJ, I noticed on your Letterboxd review,
Yes.
You've used a couple of different tags.
Okay.
So you've got the fart in reference to the Fellini.
Yes, that's accurate.
Male bonding, which is
Mm-hmm.
accurate.
Yep.
There's definitely some of that. I mean, I've only noticed there's only like 8 movies with that. I feel like you don't use it consistently.
I never with tags, but it's an ongoing thing.
Sure, but I also noticed you have one called Italian Rape Gangs.
Yes.
And which has only this film, as well as, quote, sexually aggressive Italians.
Well, do you agree?
I feel like you might be overselling it a little bit.
Okay, well, you surely you cannot disagree with the sexually aggressive Italians, because I feel like that's laid out up front, especially with main character when he sees librarian girl at the dance with no glasses on, and the next day he is in her office.
Fuck, man, I love it's like this is that era of movie where like you see some woman and she's just wearing glasses, and you go, "Oh, she's ugly."
She's a nerd.
That's supposed to be like your short circuit in your brain. Oh, homely. She's wearing glasses. You're like, no, because it's like then you take those glasses off and you go va va voom.
And that's exactly what happens. And then the scene that happens afterwards, he goes, "I thought you were a real nerd, but you're a total babe. Get on over here. Get on my stuff." I was going to say a different word. He's like, "Get on it." And she's like, "No, thank you." And he's like, "Listen, babe." He's like, "I'm not here to talk." So he's like really forcing himself on her. And I viewed it as sexually aggressive. So I think that one is fair. And as far as Italian rape gangs go, Jarrett, there is no actual rape. I should actually put the threat of rape in here as a tag, because there's that scene. There's a lot of scenes where they're leaving the bar going home, and it's like, it's really affectionately put. It's like, well, with the night over, nothing left to do, they all go home. But in one of those scenes, a lady walks by, and they kind of swarm her. They swarm her, Jarrett, and they're all like, "Hey, where you going? What you doing? Show me your butt." And it's things like that nature. And I was like, if this was a, say, Michael Haneke movie, I think that scene would maybe end in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
So with my explanation now, do you kind of see where I'm coming from here?
A little bit. I'm going to send you a photo here. It's a famous photograph by Ruth Orkin.
Okay.
And I think it really captures, and maybe you should share this also on the Instagram, just as like,
sure.
This is be further evidence, I think,
of what I'm saying.
Maybe.
Okay.
Perhaps.
Let me see.
So anyway, yeah. So I mean, I watched this movie. It held my attention.
Mm-hmm.
I was so the whole thing is he knocks this girl up. He's going to run away, and Dad steps in. Shotgun wedding. He gets held accountable. There's a wedding. We have this like ridiculous scene that also happens back in the 50s where everyone in your entire family comes to the train station to see you off. Can you imagine, RJ, if like everyone like came to see you whenever you left places? That seems to be like it's not just like it's you're going off on your honeymoon. It's like it's just like a thing where it's like always like everyone convenes because it's like, oh, you're leaving. You're just leaving. That's like that's a cause of celebration, and we should really come together. I don't know if it's just like a cinematic thing, but it's like, why can't you just anonymously come and go from places?
I know anytime you leave the room, I know there's usually an applause and a celebration.
Because they're like, go get him, champ.
Yeah, sure.
No.
Sure. I did. So after high school, I moved down to the States, and I had kind of a going away, and it was a similar thing. And you know what? It felt pretty good. It was kind of nice to be cheered off. You know what I mean?
Maybe.
Cheered off.
I just wanted to be like, treated like just any old asshole, I want to be hanging out in the Calgary airport, having some Subway.
Eating a poutine at like 6 a.m.
Maybe if I'm stuck there real early, I'll go to Chili's.
Ooh, what would you get at Chili's?
Oh, it's been a long time.
Quesadilla explosion salad.
I think Chili's is the only place that gets eaten at airports, isn't it? Like, you don't actually go to Chili's outside of that. I remember ads, but yeah, like, is there?
I've eaten at a Chili's, an actual Chili's.
Oh, of course you have.
I mean, not recently,
No.
but the time I was there, I had a pleasant dinner. So I don't know. I thought it was fine.
Okay.
Yep. So you were talking about sexually aggressive men.
Well,
I just saw that picture, and yeah, it checks out.
Checks out. Yep. Was it American Girl in Italy or something like that? That's the name of the photograph. Anyway,
can I share a story from a listener, a friend of the show, perhaps?
Sure.
I don't know.
It wouldn't be the first time. It won't be the last time.
I don't want to out them unless I'll tell you the story, and if you want me to say who it was, I will. But they were talking about the last time we watched a movie with sexually aggressive Italian men, and they said, yeah, my wife did a tour in Europe, and the only place she felt unsafe was in Italy. And a lot of it had to do with the way that the men were treating her. And I said, uh-huh.
Well,
I've never been.
So who is this?
But, that would be Ollie Granger, and you can find him at Smash the TV on Instagram. I believe he said his wife felt a little unsafe in Italy, but all the other countries were okay. So,
yeah, I've heard from work some women that went on art history trips talking about the aggressiveness of Italian men on the streets.
Uh-huh.
A lot of it's like, oh well, I mean, doesn't that make you feel special though, to be desired? It's like,
wow.
they've chosen me.
Maybe the way they were dressed.
Maybe they're not discerning whatsoever. They're just like, hey,
oh my God.
hey, girl. What's for? I mean, is it all for fun? It's like, do they really expect it to go somewhere? I mean,
well, I think that's the justification sometimes from people I've observed. Sometimes they'll be like, well, it's all in good fun. We don't actually mean anything by it. But it's kind of like, well, is it like the way is it to other people is different?
Is it the way that Wayne Gretzky says it?
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
That's why he's great. That's why he's called the Great One.
The Great One from Alberta, Canada, Creepsville itself.
He played here. He wasn't born.
He's not from Alberta.
No. Oh, RJ.
Where's Gretzky from?
Ontario.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh, I just associate.
No. That would just like be the storybook.
Brantford.
I mean, see.
Who the fuck is Brantford?
Well, it's RJ. I don't know if you know this. Okay. It's the home of Wayne Gretzky, the birthplace.
Well, fuck, I don't know that. I know that Sidney Crosby's from
RJ.
The East Coast.
You're such a good Albertan.
The East Coast. I just, I was like, yeah, Gretzky's from Edmonton, and
did you just say Wayne Gretzky's from the East Coast?
No, I said Sidney Crosby.
Oh yeah.
Some people would say he was maybe going to be the next, and wasn't. Maybe the new Edmonton Oilers. The little hot shot. You know who I'm talking about? He knows who I'm talking about. He knows McDavid. Maybe it's
anyway. Con.
Big Con. Yeah, maybe it's him. I don't know. Maybe it was you and me, and we just missed it.
Oh, damn.
I like how this episode has evolved to sexually aggressive Italian men, about people feeling unsafe, and about the birthplace of Wayne Gretzky.
You know what? But I want to make sure, since we're not going to be talking about Fellini for a very long time, he goes out in style.
Yeah, he really puts it all on display, doesn't he?
Yeah. So Fausto, he goes on his honeymoon. He comes back. And he wants to be a layabout, and he goes to the movie theaters with his glowing, beautiful, pregnant wife, and he's playing footsie with this one alluring woman who, like, she's not paying him any mind, and he's like, hey, tone down the aggressiveness, bud. And then she gets up and leaves, but kind of like walks right in front of him. And he's like, "Oh, hey, honey, I'll be right back." And he starts chasing this woman down the street.
What do you think he would do if he actually got her?
That's the thing that I don't know if a lot of these men know what they're going to do with these women once they got them.
Isn't that a Joker line from The Dark Knight? Like a dog chasing a car? You remember that hit movie, The Dark Knight, Jarrett?
I remember that movie.
He's like, I wouldn't know what to do if I got one.
Mm.
You think it's that kind of mentality?
Sage words.
The Joker?
So Buddy gets a job selling religious paraphernalia because it's Italy.
Sure.
He gets a nice little jacket, but immediately, like, you already can tell, it's like he looks over at the owner's wife, and he's like, he gives her an up and down real quick, but then he goes, "Oh, she's wearing glasses. No one likes glasses." Mm-hmm. But then when he sees her at a party, he goes, "Oh, I see what I see now, and I like it."
What did he see, Jer?
A real dish.
Okay, your words, not mine.
Yep. So, anyway, you get these side stories. You get the side stories with the other four guys, but it doesn't seem like, I don't know. Does it go anywhere? Does it tie up? You get the one guy. There's like a party. They're doing like a big festival thing. Every time they do one of these festivals too, I always wonder: did P.T. Anderson really get into that one scene for Phantom Thread, where it's like the big party
for the New Year's Eve party?
Yeah, and I always wonder. Like, I watch some movies, and I always go, "Is this the movie that he's like referencing?" Because I feel like that whole like New Year's party is like laced with like film references, and I'm always like on the hunt for like that movie, whatever that is, because I don't know. Maybe he's talked about it openly. I just haven't bothered to look it up. But I like to be like, is this the one? Is this the one that he like captures? Because sometimes like it's the feeling of it. It doesn't actually have any like. It's not like, oh, it's a direct shot that references it. It's like, oh, it's framed the exact same way. It's like, no, it's like, no, I always loved I Vitelloni, that one scene. I wanted to recapture that, and that's what it feels like, because it feels like there's something to that's in his head when he does that, because that scene has a quality to it that's quite nice, and I think
an allure,
and I think that listener of the show and a fellow podcast from Justin to Kane posted a still from that very scene with Daniel Day-Lewis
in Phantom Thread,
or
in Ivy Tilioni, Daniel Day-Lewis,
Phantom Thread.
Yeah, I think it's an astute.
I just thought it just crossed my mind, because you know why?
Good thing to hunt for.
Yeah, and I mean, I was thinking about this maybe even a little bit more, because I did see, while looking at Wikipedia, that acclaimed director Stanley Kubrick cited the film as one of his top 10 favorite films.
I don't know what you're talking about, Stan, but all right.
Stan's got eclectic tastes. He
sure does.
Yeah,
he sure does. I feel like that's like one of those deep cuts that Tarantino would be like. You'd be like, I like the Hellbenders, the Western. And only nerds like you would know what he was talking about. Everyone else would be like, huh?
Yeah, Hellbenders is good.
Hellbenders is good. And I only know that because you gave it to me. But
there you go.
I feel like it's maybe one of those where it's just like, you know that one?
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's like, it's kind of like the Marty thing, though, too, because he'll list off, the movies that he is into, and you go, oh, boy.
Fucking
Renoir, huh?
What was the one you liked?
French Can-Can?
French Can-Can?
Yeah.
Fuck. Get out of here.
GTFO.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. There's the other characters, but they don't seem as important as Fausto. And so it's like, oh, this one's like, he's dressing up, he's a little effeminate, and he's like has this like back and forth with his sister. Whatever. And then there's the other ones. One wants to be a singer. Whatever. It doesn't. None of it really like lands for me. And I mean, if you're telling this type of story, and I don't know if this is just like primitive filmmaking, working through how to make people care about this stuff, and there's like that bit of a disconnect of, for me anyway, where it's just like, I don't know, maybe I want like a movie with like Christian Slater in it sometimes, to like, and like some American chops of like schmaltzy storytelling to make the story make sense. And like when that's like, oh, I can gauge whether or not I think this is good or not. This just kind of feels like, oh, it's telling the story, but there's not what I want. There's not like giant women. It's not like taking place on some weird like deserted plain, which even like White Sheik has. And then he goes back to that stuff tenfold in later movies. There's no rocket ship being built. There's some dancing. Did Nino Rota do the score for this? It kind of sounds like that.
I hope not, because I have something to say about that. Let me check it out. It could be Nino Rota, but let's see. Vitelloni, who did the score? You talk like this, Jarrett, you can kill time. You can talk about anything that you want. You can talk about the crew.
Doing the
you
voice.
Can talk
oh, look at that.
Cast.
Nino Rota. He did.
You know what? I'm going to tell you about it, but I think this was a poor show on Nino Rota's part. And I'll tell you all about that when you turn it over to me.
Okay. Well, you know what? I've said my piece. I think this is like fine.
Okay.
This is like, it's okay. But, I mean, there's nothing that stuck with me in any real way. So I guess now, RJ, I'm curious what you thought of Vitelloni.
Sexually aggressive Italian men.
Well, we knew that. I spoiled that one for everybody.
Yeah. So here's the thing. So I have a similar Vitelloni story to you. And then when you see what appears to be 45-year-old men playing teenagers, so I started this movie, and Andy came down, and she's like, "What are you watching?" I was like, "I don't know, some Italian shit. Who cares?" And she's like, "All right." And she watched for like 5-10 minutes with me. And at the start of the movie, it was kind of like them. I was like, because I even said to her, I was like, "I think it's a coming of age story or something. I don't really know." And she's like, "Coming of age?" She's like, "Do you mean these 40-year-old men that are very clearly 40?" And I was like, "I guess." And then they're like doing things like that are kind of coming of, right? Like kind of like, I don't know, or not childish, but like young men things, like the way they're going out to bars and stuff. And she just got up. She's like, "I'm not gonna watch these old ass men pretend to be little kids." And I was like, "That's fine, that's fair." Yeah, I should have started a list on Letterboxd 4 years ago, Criterion movies that Andy walked out on, because there's quite a few.
Okay, so Alberto Sordi in this, he is he's 33 in this. Okay. So Franco Interlangi, who's Meraldo. Meraldo is, look how young he is there. Yeah, he's 22. Like when the movie was released. Franco Fabrizi, who is Fausto. So this is the main dude.
Yeah.
He is, he's old too. Actually, he's 26. So he's.
I would have guessed older.
So
even.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like, so he's still like in his mid-20s, and I don't know. Like, they're not really exact on like how old they are. Like, how old is old? But yeah, they're like the one guy is 33. It's like, but these guys, like, yeah, they look. I mean, even in the photo, the photo that accompanies the post, like they use the poster on the letterbox. It just looks like 5 old Italian guys in like old men jackets.
It looks like they're all waving goodbye to their kid who just graduated high school.
And then there's the banner image with like Harold Lloyd in the background, the intellectual. And there's the other guys. It's like, yeah, no, they look like dads.
Yeah, and the guy on the right looks like the fucking son of Sam.
They're the dads of a coming of age story. That's the problem.
Yeah, exactly. So it's up front. You run into a little bit of an issue because you're like, we got David Berkowitz on one side, we got Harold Lloyd on the other side, and you're like, we got a problem here because these aren't kids you can kind of root with. All right, where in Mama Roma, that was like an actual 16-year-old kid, and it was very evident. So you're like, okay. I never thought I would be standing up for a Pasolini film, but
hey,
what do you do?
Hey, hey, you got to give him credit where he's due, right?
Where it's due, you got to give him credit. So up front, I thought that was weird also. And then, so some of the things you watch, like I could see some people kind of being on board with this movie in the boys will be boys kind of category. And it's like, I get that. But at the same time, like, I feel like those things appeal to me more than they would to, say, you or other casual Criterion watchers, the boys will be boys kind of movie. But this one, I was kind of like, I don't know about these guys. And it wasn't just the sexual aggressive nature of how they were behaving. That was a big part of it. But that aside, I was just like, I don't know. These guys, like, there's been a lot of nights where I go out with the boys and you have a little piss up, you go home, and then everyone kind of does their own thing. I understand that part of it. And like we said, credit where it's due. One scene I actually did like was near the end when they're driving to like the rail station or whatever. And they all stop for a piss and they're pissing like in the ditch. and that guy's pissing behind a tree, and the other guy just throws a huge rock at the tree, and they all kind of laugh. I actually thought that was pretty funny because I was like, I've been in that situation. Mm-hmm. That's pretty fun.
That was me throwing that rock.
That was, yeah, exactly. I've been on both sides of that situation before. So
both sides.
The worst is when you're at the top of the ditch, releasing, and someone comes and just gives you a kick in the back, and you fall in. That's, I mean, boys will be boys, right, Jer?
Man, that's like, oh yeah. So that's like, besides anything else we're talking about, like there's these somebody I'm friends with on Facebook. They once in a while these things that they like pop up on my feed, and there's this one of just like these men, like these young men, just like beating the shit out of each other, like for laughs. Like, oh, like my friend doesn't. Yeah, but it's like cheap shots. Like, oh, I'm gonna come up behind this guy and just like drop kick him, and like my friend's gonna videotape it, and it's gonna be hilarious.
I know what you mean.
And I'm like, fuck, like. That's a way to break your back, like not knowing someone's coming to just kick you in the spine, and it's like, we're just smashing things over your face, and it's like, oh, you got me good. It's like, this is a kind of masculinity that I am not plugged into.
Well, Jarrett, it's about male bonding.
Yes, yes. Oh yeah, I've heard about it. I've heard about male bonding.
Okay, so. Well, yeah, exactly. Like
my male bonding is Swiss Army Man.
Oh, that's a perfect example of it. That's actual proper male bonding.
Correct.
I mean, I've wrestled my fair boys in my day. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you want to play fair for sure. So that's the reason I'm even saying that. Is like I think I fit into the demographic that this movie was probably intended for, but at the same time. I also think this movie is fine, but there were things in this movie that actually kind of actively annoyed me, and I was like, it's like I don't really like that. So the Nina Rota score, I feel like plays like a comedy sitcom soundtrack because they're walking around and it's like boom, 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 and I know that you're gonna be like, wait a minute, that's a '90s sitcom, but I don't know, like it's not Seinfeld. But when they're walking around and the music's like, boop, 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 you're like, what is this? Like, I thought it was too light and fluffy. I was like, this is like comedy stuff.
Yeah, it is a comedy though.
I know, but I found it was like, it seemed really out of place to me for some reason. So I don't, that could just be me. I know I have weird hang-ups about things sometimes. But I thought the music was really out of place. I was like, I don't know what this is about. But I'm not on board with it.
Okay.
So I thought the score was weird. What's something else I thought was weird? Okay, well, I mean, the main guy I don't think is relatable at all. Or not even relatable. I don't think he's likable because he's just like, I want to get around because of my insatiable Italian lust. And he's going around getting like women left and right. And then at the end, he's like, my wife, she left me. She left my house, but I miss her. I love her.
Oh man,
you know, Jared?
Just that accent is unchecked tonight.
My wife, she had no one. She be fed a ravioli, but she want a beef steak. So it's stuff like that, and you're just like, it's like, well, yeah, you're kind of a shitty dude. Of course she would leave. So you don't feel bad for him, and like I know. I mean, you can't sympathize with every character. I get that. I get that. But this guy, I was like, I don't know, man. This guy's he gets what's coming to him, so you don't feel bad for him. And then one other thing that I was like, I don't know how to read this, if this is a good thing or a bad thing. But you know that exchange that the guy has with the kid who's going to the train station, and he's like, it's the end of his night, but it's the start of the kid's day. There's like that exchange there. He's like, hey kid, sit down. Like, I feel like it's supposed to be this like kind of like older brother thing. But when I was watching it, I was kind of like, what is this scene about? I was like, why is this here? I don't know. That could be me too. And like, maybe not a real thing, but it stuck out to me because I was just like, what is this about? This scene? What's going on here?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I thought that was kind of weird, but like I said, that could just be my own hang up. I didn't dislike the whole movie. Like there's some stuff, like there's some Fellini things that I did like. I did think the ball was kind of nice, and there are some elements of the male bonding that I think are cool. The one thing I thought was funny was there's that side story with the playwright guy where he's like writing his play, and then there is a scene where they're like it kind of like jumps ahead a little bit. It's like this character did this. It's only like a couple days, but they're like the playwright guy. It's like he grew a goatee, and then it's like the next scene of him with a goatee. And I don't know. I thought that was like modern comedy kind of joke, and I was like, that's pretty funny. I like that. I don't know. I know why people. And I can see why
I missed that.
I said I can see why people like any Criterion for some reason, but even though we usually hate a lot of these things, this one it's like I can see some of the charm in it. I can see why it's likable to a few, like in some areas, but at the same time I was like, I'm not really on board with this. So I don't know. It wasn't really my my jam, but I don't think it's a bad movie or anything. It's just not exactly what I wanted.
Right.
And that's fine because Fellini didn't make movies for me specifically. That's fine.
What an asshole.
Well, that's what some people think. That's what the comments we get sometimes. Why isn't this podcast catering to my needs? And you say, I don't know, man.
I don't know, Bobby Boucher.
There's no water in the desert. You know?
Well, you know who hates this movie?
Well, not me, clearly.
No.
Oh, I forgot to tell you about Vitelloni.
Okay, yeah, go for it. Tell me about this half-hour documentary.
So it's just the actors as old men talking about what it was like filming it.
You mean older men?
Even older men, because this came out in 2004 apparently.
Holy shit. So like 50 years older.
They're pretty fucking old. They're like senior citizens just talking about like what it was like to make them. There's not really much to take out from that other than they're like, yeah, we made a movie, and then they're like, look what Fellini did after. Look what he did after. That's what they all kind of say. Mm-hmm. But the one big thing that's actually kind of relevant is they said that a lot of the filmmaking, Fellini would give them like, they're like, he would set the scene. It'd be like, this is what you should be doing. And he's like, so do it. And so he like kind of put it to them. So I think some of these scenes that might come off like either loose or clunky, I think it was because I don't think there was like a full script to it or anything like that, or Fellini was like, just riff, just kind of go where the scene takes you. I think that's what some of this movie is too. So, which that's cool, I guess, but whatever. No. All right, tell me who hates this movie.
Jonathan Edouard.
All right.
Half a star. And who, short and sweet, a slog.
All right, bud. Someone commented on that review.
Oh.
And they said blasphemer. Interesting. So Jonathan Edouard, favorite films include Your Name, the anime, Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl, Back to the Future, and Avengers Endgame.
Wow. That is a different viewing set than what we're used to here.
Yes.
Have we ever had anyone have Pirates of the Caribbean on their like favorite films list?
Never. I've never seen anyone in the people I interact with on Letterboxd have Pirates of the Caribbean on their favorite films. Other half-star films of this person include some David Lynch short films.
Okay.
The Mummy Returns, which is a good show. The 1931 Criterion film by Fritz Lang.
Okay.
Which is interesting, I guess. Other 5-star films are just things like Frozen 2, Hamilton, The Incredibles, I don't know, Star Wars, I don't know, a bunch of shit. Heathers.
Next, 1 star, a rewatch by Dave
Oh, wow.
No interest in our 5 white male post-adolescent man-childs. The theme of escaping small-town life ran true by the end, or maybe I was just pleased to be escaping too by that point.
I mean, I don't know about what some of those characteristics of them have to do with anything, but Dave's favorite films include Jaws, The Truman Show, The Third Man, and something called You Can Count on Me, directed by Kenneth Lonergan.
Oh,
do you know what this movie is? It's got Matt.
Yeah, I remember that movie. I remember when people cared about that movie.
Remember Matthew Broderick?
Yeah.
Remember what he did?
I remember Matthew Dogerick.
I can't share that meme. I sent it. The person who sent it knows what's up. I sent it to Jarrett because I did think it was funny, but I felt like it was probably in our best interest for me not to share that on our public account. If he wants to, he's more than welcome to. I just didn't want to be the one who posts it. Mm-hmm. Right, Jared?
Yeah, that's right.
So Dave actually, I'm checking the 5-star films. They're not bad. Things like The Wrestler, Children of Paradise, Unforgiven, Wild Strawberries. Pretty good stuff. Okay. Pretty good stuff. This person has Pirates of the Caribbean in their 1-star films.
Wow. Okay.
So what a change of events here.
Wow. Hot and cold. Next up is Liberty Renee.
All right.
1 star. I'm just wholly annoyed.
All right. It seems like they're annoyed a lot. They just gave Tenet 1 star.
Wow.
And they gave Black Sunday 1 star also.
Wow.
You know the Bava film, right?
Oh, I do.
Other 1-star films include No Country for Old Men, The Magnificent Ambersons.
These are 1-star movies.
These are 1-star films, apparently.
I see.
Rambo: Last Blood.
Oh,
we know about that, Jer.
Oh,
what about Yorgos Lanthimos' The Favorite? What about Robert Eggers' The Lighthouse? These are all 1-star films, apparently, guys.
All right, Liberty.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. We've had enough out of you. Mm-hmm. And finally, we'll go with Anna Harrison. All right. 1 star. I don't understand why this film is so relevant, Saws.
I mean, that's fine. If that's how you feel. Favorite films include Nights of Cabiria, Brighter Summer Day, Mochete from 1967. Don't know what that is.
I just looked up. I had to look up what Saws meant.
What did it mean?
Sorry.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of I think this person is a primary Spanish speaker. Are we talking about the same thing here? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Their bio is Hola, mi amigas y amigos. Que mi sig aqua en mi red social favorita. Which is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
They only have 1 half-star film, and it is A Star is Born from a couple years ago. So
there we go.
But they gave 5 stars to The Holy Mountain.
Wow.
So cool.
It doesn't sound too bad.
Cool. And that's that.
That's that. Well, I don't know. Maybe we didn't give this film a fair shake, but I don't know. Maybe Fed Fellini should have made a better movie.
I think I was tough but fair. No. I didn't like it. I think I expressed why not, and I think it's fine if you do. But
it's like tough but fair.
Tough but fair. That's a thing people say, right?
That is, I believe, the catch line for like a CBC anchor.
Tough but fair.
Yes.
Does he say it like that?
I think he was like, described as tough but fair.
But fair. Well, I mean, Vitelloni is no Ninja Turtle toys. That's something we can agree on, right?
This is 100% accurate.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, what are you gonna do? Can't win them all.
Can't win them all.
Mm-hmm.
Well, after the break, I get RJ on that train. Get him out of podcast town. Get him on that one-way ticket out of here. Hopefully he never comes back.
Will you do it already?
I've been trying.